To API or not to API, that is the question. So I'm going to show you a couple of admin panels. They're both unfinished. It's just me mucking about actually. And if I go to this admin panel here, I can create a comment and say hello. I can say submit. Now keep an eye on the right hand side, you see. We'll do another one. Here is a comment. Now watch this. I'm going to hit submit. Submit now. There it is. Okay, pretty much almost instant. And again, and I apologize for that strange noise. So I'm adding comments and there we go, right? It's pretty fast and everything is cool. Now here's another admin panel that looks kind of similar. I'm going to again click add a comment and I'm going to say here we go and say add comment, and again very quick, right? We'll do this again. Here we go, add comment. Okay, pretty much instant. And there you go. So both of these sites are doing, you know, pretty much the same thing. However, they are both built entirely differently, because the first site that I showed you is using the old school form submission method. If I submit here, oh pardon me, submit. If I inspect and just show you, can you see the form here? In fact, probably best if I just show you the source code. So I'm going to view the page source, and if we look for form, you can see it's this one right here, and there is the form. Look, there's the text area with the comment. Here's the submit button, and there it is, and you know, action and method is post. This way of doing things has been in use since the web came out, in fact. So for decades this has been the way that things work, and it's fine. As you can see, there's not really any great difference. So this is the old school method here, right? Again, watch the speed, right? Watch this. I'm going to say submit. You know something, my computer just crunched there just as I was doing that. The hard drive. This is an old Apple. Hello you. Let me try that again. Alright, so it's pretty fast, right? But then we've got this page here, which works entirely differently. Now it may look the same, but when you click this thing, it's firing a JavaScript function. You see it says on click submit new comment. And if I view the source code here, you'll notice that there's not even any forum tags here. It's just all JavaScript, and in this case it's running a thing called submit new comment, and here it is here, right? So this is making a call to an API. In this case our API endpoint is this address here, and there's the code in, what's the word, vanilla JavaScript, and there we have it. So folks, we now have two methods of basically doing the same thing. We've got the old school method, which is to use, you know, the form tags, and then we've got our API method, which looks like that with vanilla JavaScript. But I'm quite sure that with a framework or something, you could get this, you know, a lot neater. In fact, I know you could. And that's that, you know. So the question is, which one should you use? And you won't be surprised. It depends on what your objectives are. So here's my own take on this. First of all, sounds all a bit patronizing, but stay with me. If you're in the business of building web apps, you never ever need to use the API method. Okay, I can hear some of you folks thumbs down and already. Well, if I'm wrong, prove me wrong, because I went for 15 years without writing a single line of JavaScript code, And I've just demonstrated two methods that are almost indistinguishable. And the fact is that you can get by quite happily without ever using any of that JavaScript stuff. And again, if I'm wrong, let me know. Now, I'm not saying that those workarounds are always graceful, maybe not, but the point of the matter is that you don't need to use the API method. You would only use the API method if you need some part of the page to be refreshed, but you don't want to reload the entire page, you know. Anyway, that's the first thing. Second thing that I wanted to say was, if you are interested in obtaining a high SEO ranking on the search engines, okay, then avoid using lots of JavaScript. Okay, let's do a footnote. First time I've ever done this. On the pages for which you'd like a high ranking. Doesn't matter what you do, if it's in some back-end system or whatever that nobody sees, but if it's a page where you really want a high ranking, then avoid using lots of JavaScript. You will, I challenge anybody, show me a $1 billion industry where the top website on Google is made with Angular or React or Vue or any of the JavaScript frameworks. Show me one of them that is dominating Google for a really competitive industry. I don't think there's any. And when you build sites that have loads and loads and loads of JavaScript, I'm not saying, you know, completely avoid JavaScript. For example, if you do a search for car leasing in the UK, that's a £5 billion industry in the UK. It's about $6 or $7 billion per year. You do a search for car leasing, 3 of the sites that are on page 1, including the one that's first, by the way, I worked for those people. I built the sites. Anyway, look, let me cut in here. I'm not claiming to be the greatest SEO guy in the universe. I'm just saying that I have gone into the arena in $1 billion industry that I've just given you, and I have scored, and I know what the insurance companies and the finance companies and the companies that are going after those big money phrases, I know what they're doing. I know how they're getting to the top of Google, and trust me, they're not using and they're not building JavaScript heavy websites. That's just the way it goes. And remember, folks, 9 out of 10 of the people who hire you, if you go into business, they will be asking for SEO services. So keep that in mind, okay? And finally, if I haven't completely put you off of JavaScript so far, let me also say, avoid using the API method unless you are confident in your security. Particularly, let me get this right, unless you are confident that your endpoints are secure. So the endpoint is the URL where the thing submits to. So in the example that I just gave you, here's the endpoint here. It's just on my own local computer, you know. So unless you are confident, unless you know what you're doing, I would avoid using the API methods anywhere. Now, there are times when you will be kind of forced to do some kind of API shenanigans. Maybe, for example, if you've got a text messaging service going on, so if somebody submits an inquiry form, you're going to do an API request somewhere that, you know, and fires a text message, or maybe even you have a subscription to some kind of database service that gives you an address if you submit a zip code or something like that. These type of things all typically have their own API endpoints, but in those instances, they are the ones building the endpoints, and all we're doing from our end is just, you know, either doing a a get request or a post request or something, and you can do that in PHP with file get contents, file underscore get underscore contents. You don't even need JavaScript for any of that stuff. So the point is, it's okay not to become entangled in building APIs with JavaScript and all of that stuff. You don't need to do it. Relax, it's fine. And in fact, to wrap this video up, if I may, the only times that you really should use the API method, in my opinion, would be when you want to update part of the page without reloading the whole page, or if you are building a desktop app with something like Electron, or I think it's called NWJS, or some kind of mobile app using something like React Native, something like that. That's pretty much it. It's a user experience thing. Quick story. When I built I don't like name dropping. When I built my first car leasing site, let's say, I had it so that page 1 was like select make, and you'd select a vehicle make, and then it would submit to another page entirely, and it would say you'd have a thing called select model, and then you'd do that and it would take you to another page. And I thought this was fantastic, and this was how you got quotes. This was back in 2004. But unfortunately, extensive testing revealed that people hated this. They did not like being sent from one page to another. So if you're building a site with drop downs, like a car leasing site or a car insurance site, that's an instance where you really would want to keep them on the page, and you'd want to query the database and bring in all of the makes that are associated with Volkswagen or whatever, So that's an example of a situation where I pretty much had to start using the API method, So the API method, in conclusion, is a usability thing. You don't need to use it. You can just use the form method, and there's all sorts of workarounds. But if you're interested in usability, interested in that desktop-like experience, go with the API method. But remember, folks, when it comes to JavaScript in general, you want to keep it to a minimum. Keeping JavaScript to a minimum will give you and your clients a better chance of doing well on the search engines. And trust me, they're going to love you for that stuff. And the big, shocking conclusion, and some of you probably already knew this, but nobody said it before, the big, shocking conclusion is clients don't care what method you use. They really don't. Developers do. For some reason, developers are really impressed by the API method and JavaScript intensive sites and all of that. But don't worry about it, it's no big deal. So stay cool. I hope you've enjoyed this. And this was me answering a question that was in the comments below. If you have any technical questions about web development, anything at all, and hopefully it's a technical question and just not some generic self-help thing or something, please ask your technical questions. I was top of Google for 7 years for the phrase website repairs, and I like solving problems and stuff. So if you have any technical questions about web development, let me know in the comment below, and maybe I'll make that one of my upcoming videos. I'll catch you later.